Hey everybody, this is Grateful Futures here. I wanted to do a short video for anyone that's starting out volume analysis and volume profile analysis to just kind of show you guys how to set this up on your chart, how I use it. Particularly for day trading, but if you're a swing trader, you can always for any time frame use volume profile and volume in your analysis. So this is going to be for Tradingview users. The setup, if you guys have other charting software like Sierra Chart or anything else, that's fine. They have their own volume profile tools that you can use. But on Tradingview, we're going to start by adding a anchored volume profile to a long-term chart. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this on SPY, just because that's what I trade. What you're going to do is start out with a longer term chart. It can be, 1 hour, 45 minutes, 4 hours. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a longer term chart. You're going to go over here to your toolbar on the left-hand side and go to your projection tools. So not the first one, not the second one, third one, fourth one, but the fifth one. It should say projection up here. You're going to go to that one, go all the way down to your volume-based drawings, and we're going to go to this one right here, anchored volume profile. If you click on that, what I like to do is I like to go to the last bear market and look at all the volume from there, because what's going to happen is whenever you click on the screen, it's going to display on the side of the chart all of the volume for every price level since that point. So let's just go ahead and click here. And something like this should pop up on either the right or the left. I personally like to have long-term volume profile on the left-hand side of my screen. So if you want to edit those features, right-click, go to settings, and then this is where you can kind of just decide how many row size you want. I keep it at 2,000, but if you wanted a little, if you want to reduce the size of those, you can turn this number down here, and what that's going to do is make this a little more granular. So even if let's decrease it even more to 100 just so you can see what this does. But I personally like to have a little bit more information, so I'll keep mine at like 1,000 or 2,000. As long as you can see where the high and low volume areas are, that's all that matters. Everything else I keep pretty much the same. Your value area from my other videos, that's the what percentage of this volume profile encompasses most of the volume. For a long-term volume profile, I don't really care about this. I usually just keep it on 68. But for the style, now this is where you can decide, if you do want to see a value area and make it a different color, you can do that. I suggest, having it be the same color, but maybe you can change the transparency on that to give it like a different look. I don't personally do that. I leave it about the same. I don't care about where the value area is long term. I just want to see where the volume levels are. So I don't turn on value area high either, but I do turn on the point of control. That's very, very important level. And you can see that's right here, this kind of deep blue color. That's the heaviest volume level out of this entire spectrum. So again, I like to have it on the left-hand side of my screen, so I'll switch it from the right to the left. And personally, I don't know why, this is just a preference thing, but I like to have it be, this kind of different color instead of just green and red. But of course, that is personal preference for you guys. So you guys can decide how you want to have your volume profile look. But the most important thing is just those settings, get them how you like, and play with those as is. So for this video, I'll just go ahead and make it green and red just because that's colors that most people understand as buy and sell volume. You go ahead and click OK. Now, how we analyze this, right? What do I do on my chart? I'll go ahead and block off all of the low volume nodes. That's to me the first thing that anybody should be doing. This seems like a really, really low volume area, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. And I recommend that you pick certain colors for this that is going to be kind of, you're going to remember them. I like to use this dark orange for my long-term low volume nodes. And then we're going to go ahead and just kind of do that for all the major low volume nodes. And something I also do is if it comes to a definitive point right there, what you can also do is just have a horizontal line so you don't have to keep moving these as the time goes. I'll go ahead and put horizontal line right there, a horizontal line, let's say right there, and just keep doing that throughout the whole thing. I would say focus on the major low volume nodes. It's not always necessary to mark off, for example, this one. It might make you think something's going to happen or price is going to reverse there when it maybe in fact it doesn't. Another thing I do like to do is if you do want to mark these off, what I suggest is marking them off, but in a different color than your, really, really major ones. So for example, I'll keep my really major low volume nodes in blue, and I'll keep the kind of more minor volume nodes in orange. So let's go ahead and just do that for the most closest ones to this price action. And then I also recommend marking off the long-term point of control. So that's again this line right here. For point of controls, I always use a dotted line just to kind of, you can also click over here and add text to it. Let's say POC, just so you can see that, yep, that's the point of control there. Sometimes if it's a really big low volume node, I'll say critical low volume node. That's pretty much it. You can do it for all of the relevant levels throughout this spectrum. Whenever you get there, you'll know that that's a long-term level. A quick word about switching to a lower time frame, depending on what trading view you have. It it only gives you a certain number of historical bars, right? Eventually, it's going to cut you off at a number of bars. So if I go ahead and click from here to my 1 minute chart, this volume profile, see how it cuts off eventually, is that it's not giving you enough data, bars of data to have that volume information present on a lower time frame that was present on my longer term chart. So what I do is I don't even display my long term volume profile on my 1 minute chart. I'll show you how to do that as well. I'll be usually looking at this on a 45-minute time frame for my analysis during pre-market. How you do that is you want to click on it, go back to settings where we were before. You can go to visibility, and this is where if I only want this to show up, let's say on 15-minute and up, I would only have 15 minutes selected, or you can have hours and days as well if you want it to show up on a 1 hour or days chart. And then I'll bring it from 15 minutes is the lowest time I want this to display. Oh, actually, let me just pull this all the way here first. And then if I put 15 here and I click OK, that means this volume profile is only going to show up on a 15-minute chart. It's not going to show up on a 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, and it will go all the way to 366 days. So if I click OK, and let's just test this out, if I go to my 1 minute chart, it shouldn't be there. Perfect. That's exactly how we want it. But these lines that we have drawn from those low volume levels, they are displayed there. And you can already start to see how this translates to day trading. Price tends to respect these levels, fairly well. And they're levels that you can use to either enter a trade, use as targets to get out of a trade. Um, Definitely recommend doing this on anything that you're day trading to understand, uh, you know, what are the relevant price levels that we could be looking at for price to reverse or to break and retest. A quick note about futures. So let's say if you're trading futures, as a lot of people do. Um, for example, the ES is the mini futures contract for the S&P 500. If you are charting that, I do recommend to mark off the volume levels from the S&P 500 from SPY, I feel like personally they tend to respect the volume levels of SPY a little better than if you were to look at the volume profile long term for the actual ES contract. But that's kind of a side note. You can have a price converter and kind of just mark those the prices off from SPY onto your ES chart. But that's just a quick side note about futures. But for SPY, that's how we're going to go ahead and draw off our long-term levels. And if we were to make a pre-market analysis for today, we could say that price opened up, tested this major low volume node, supported it, tested again, it supported it again. So I know that if price comes back here, it's going to have a good chance of supporting it yet again. And then if it breaks through it, then maybe we could look at taking a bearish trade. But since it's supported it here, made a double bottom, that's a great entry and something we took today long, targeting close up to here to this point of control, probably by this low volume node where it actually ended up reversing at. So that's how you do the long-term volume profile, but it's also important for you to look at the volume of that specific day, of just the volume for that day. So every morning, what I do when I am setting my chart up for the day, I'll go ahead and take another anchored volume profile and I will anchor it to the start of the session. So that's the just the volume for today's session. And for me, I don't know, I like to have things very particular, so I'll go ahead and make this one on the right-hand side of my screen. So, it's just I just personal preference again, but that's how I like to have my session volume profile. And the same thing you want to do throughout the day is mark off these low volume nodes. Let's just go ahead and do a quick replay just so you can see how these are relevant. Um, we'll go ahead and say, okay, so I see that that's probably a low volume node. I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. And again, for my session low volume nodes, I like to have those be a different color than my long-term volume nodes just to be able to distinguish those. So I actually have a template for those. You can make templates for different drawings. So I'll go ahead and make that a session low volume node. And then I can go ahead and say the top of this is also a low volume node. I'll probably put that like right there. Probably going to be some kind of support and resistance there as well. And let's just kind of scoot through this. You see that it tests it. And we can even start to see this one is developing as a little bit of a low volume node. So I'll go ahead and put that about right there. And you can see that's exactly where it was supported. We're going to go ahead and that's where I actually entered the trade at the double bottom at the major low volume node, tested this low volume node that we marked off, has confirmation, and after that it was off to the races. So let's go ahead and see if there's anything else we can mark off. So you see it breaks through, supports it, and you do have to kind of modify them a little bit as the volume develops throughout the day. That's for me, that's one of the fun parts about it. But look how accurate this is, right? This low volume node that we marked off, we already knew this was a level. We already knew this one was a level based on how it was developing as a low volume node, and you could even use that as an entry. But that's basically what I do throughout the session. I don't necessarily mark off the session point of control. I just kind of mentally take a note of it. But that is really how I use these volume profiles throughout the day, specifically for anchored volume profiles. You can also use, as I like to frequently, instead of an anchored volume profile, you'll have a fixed range volume profile. That's this option here on your toolbar if we go back to it. And we can go ahead and see, where is the point of control and the volume of just a specific section of trading, right? So if I want to know the volume profile just from here to here, that's what I would use, the fixed range volume profile. And you can just kind of edit this as the volume develops. So that's really everything I'm doing in terms of volume profiles. That's how you set them up using those tools right here. You can actually, if you favorite them, use clicking this little star right here, they'll pop up as a little toolbar that you don't even have to go to that full toolbar. You can just go ahead and click these. So that is what I'm doing. Just wanted to show you guys how to set this up. There was some questions about putting out a video on how to do that. So if you guys have any questions or want to see these levels or me trading live, every morning I put out a pre-market plan using these techniques. I have a completely free Discord. You guys are welcome to join it. Go ahead, the link's in the bio. Feel free to hop in. We'd love to see you guys there. Happy trading.